It's a party time, oh. If you got the money, don't stop. If you wanna try to stop fast, make you know the festival.
Alright, good afternoon to everybody out there. I mean, for the most part, what you're about to experience today is something that is, for want of a better word, I want to say is going to be very different, because today is that special day that I think we're going to delve into the Ruff mob story. Today's the day we're going to delve into what Slick Media Group is all about. Today's the day that we get to find out what Ghost and SMG have coming up. That if you're watching this, you're part of a special group of people who are about to see something very amazing. My name is Brownberry. I work with YFM, and I'm doing this with a very beautiful
the Secretary of Slick Media Group Limited.
And our guests today are none other but, or better than, we have J-Rex, the producer, in-house producer, who is behind most of the songs that you hear. And of course we have Mr. Cam Andam. And of course we have Mr. Keith McAllister in here as well. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
How's everybody, man?
Doing all right.
You know, for me, since this is Slick Media Group, since this is Rough Money Records, I'm going to want to start directly with Mr. Cam Andam. I have to start. How's everything going?
Everything is going good.
You know what I'm interested in, right? I'm genuinely interested in the Rough Money Billionaire story.
Absolutely.
I want to hear where that story is coming from. I want to know what you experienced in your life growing up that made you want to set up this empire that is going to change the musical entertainment story of Ghana and Africa.
Well, to start out with, I've been in the entertainment industry for over 22 years in the United States of America.
Okay.
One thing that I tell people is that America is driven by three core values.
Okay.
The first one is the sports sector of America, which helps the continent of America project its image out into the world.
Okay.
So, an example, if I ask you about the last 10 presidents of the United States, you might be able to mention 3 or 4 of them.
Absolutely.
But if I ask you about the superstars in basketball, in American football, in baseball, and in any sport in the United States, you'll be able to mention names here and not more.
Yes.
Because everybody recognizes sports personalities. Wow. The second core value that the continent and the country, the United States of America, has been built on is the entertainment sector.
Okay.
Looking at music, movies, and Broadway shows. So if you look at America, if I tell you what is coming to America, it had Eddie Murphy.
Absolutely.
Brilliant story. Absolutely. The world adapted to it, and everybody embraced it. Yeah. You talk about, some of the biggest entertainers in the world. You talk about Tupac Shakur. Absolutely. You talk about Notorious B.I.G. You talk about currently the Jay-Z's of the world, the Beyoncé's of the world. Yes. And you look at the whole structure of entertainment globally. You think entertainment, you think America. Then you look at the political drive, which basically establishes the governance of the world through the eyes of the United States. Wow. And so these 3 core principles is what you learn when you grow up in America. And for us, starting out in Hollywood with artistry entertainment, building an entertainment company, developing relationships, not only in the music industry, but also in the movie industry, and also in the technology sector, helped me realize that there is a great opportunity in Africa that hasn't been exploited yet. And not exploitation on the negative side, but on the positive side. Yeah. Because if you talk about Africa and you come to Ghana, Ghana is known as a beacon of hope for the continent of Africa. 54 countries, with each having its own independent sovereign barrier. And everyone looking at the one that will emerge to lead the Africas into the modern day era. And you look at Ghana and all the aspects of this country that makes it unique in its positioning, you realize that Ghana is a place of choice for anybody to want to do business. Number one, there is democracy that is very, very stable in Ghana. There has been the Fourth Republic has seen transitional governance go from one political party to the next with stability. Yeah. You look at the production sector. Ghana has some of the best, cash crops that are exported in the world. Number 2 cocoa producer in the world, over 800,000 tons of cocoa. That tells you that the most consumed commodity in the world comes out of this place, and Cote d'Ivoire, their neighbor. Wow. So that makes Ghana a uniquely positioned country to want to do business with. And finally, you look at the sports and entertainment. Watch the World Cup. Everybody says, oh, I love Ghana's team.
True.
Why? Because they see a lot of young talents coming out of Ghana. You look at the entertainment industry, the first time BET instituted an awards system, a local rapper with a local language that is not even understood by the world except by Ghanaians went out to win the BET awards for the African, division, the international award.
Yeah.
Then our one and only Stonebwoy followed it with another win. That's got to tell you that Ghana is poised to be able to develop on the three structures that help build the greatest country in the world today, the United States of America, which deals with the sports, the entertainment, and a stable political environment for people to aspire to be like you. So that is why the Ruff Money, Ruff Mob, Slick Media story is originating out of Ghana with a vision to emancipate the dreams of the founder and founding fathers of this lovely country to the world. Because I've always believed that the article in Time magazine that had the first president of Ghana, legally elected president of Ghana, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, which stipulated on Time magazine 1958, it says sunrise on the dark continent.
Wow.
And it had Nkrumah on the cover.
Wow.
And in Nkrumah's vision, he said what? I wasn't born Ghanaian. Ghana was born in me.
Yeah.
And that vision projected a totally different perception about Ghana that the world sees. And so that perception over time has had its peaks and troughs. But now it's peaking again. And we believe that the Slick Media focus as an entertainment media company and the Ruff Mob and the Ruff Money Records vision is what is going to help elevate the perception that people have about this country when it comes to the entertainment sector. Because the term Ruff, R-U-F-F, is not just something that we just came up with.
Okay.
It's an acronym that represents Rise Up for Freedom, Rise Up for Fame, Rise Up for Fortune.
Wow.
So we want our people to believe that we as a people in Ghana can rise up for freedom. We can rise up for fortune, and we can rise up for fame. No different than the superstars that started out of the ghettos of America, rising up to become international global icons. That is what makes Ruff Money unique. And so you're rising up for freedom to get your money, you're rising up for fortune to make money, you're rising up for fame to celebrate money.
Oh, this is amazing. This is, this is what I've noticed. The fact that the story is much deeper than it looks on the surface. Because somebody sees Ruff Money, all they think about, so this is a group of young people who are, trying to just do something music related, but this is much bigger.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us have heard, if you can make it in America, you can make it anywhere. If you make it in New York, you can make it everywhere. I think that's what you're also saying here. If Kwame Nkrumah was able to make it here, and Ghana was born in here, we can also move on and be like him and make it to the next level. I'm interested in the collaborations that you've fostered over the years to make sure this dream has actually, or is on its way to becoming a reality. Mr. Keith is here because of such collaborations. J-Rex is here working on a dream that has been birthed. What do you look out for in the people that you collaborate with?
Well, one thing that we look out is people that have the same vision and dreams that we have as an organization. The way we elect to choose who we partner with is based on the type of perception that we want to create about Ruff Money, Ruff Mob, and Slick Media Group, as well as the entertainment industry for Ghana and for Africa as a whole. The reason why a lot of people look at Africa and say, oh, Africa is poor, is because of the perception that is created about Africa. And the challenge that we face is the type of media and information that is put out into the world. So if somebody wants to come to Africa and all they see is a bunch of little kids sitting with flies on their face that are hungry, then that person's perception is that this whole country is full of hungry, starving, poor kids. And when they realize that you're poor, P-O-O-R represents passing off opportunity regularly. So they know that you've passed off opportunity regularly, so they're not willing to give you opportunity. So our vision is to make sure that we select the type of talent that we can collaboratively work with the type of entertainers that we have relationships with in the States. Example, with the TIs of the world, with Cash Money Records, with, you know, Rock Nation. You go into the main deep part of Def Jam. You go into the ticketing, Ticketmaster. You go into the show hosting, Live Nation. Micro Opinion is a personal relationship on an email exchange basis. You talk about a Rock Nation guys, Ghostwater. We have the relationships to basically bridge the gap so that there's collaboration that teaches the African story from the right perspective.
Sure.
Not from a third party, imaginative perspective. And so one time I was, you know, hosted on, you know, a discussion session on CNN, and I was talking about business, and everybody says, what helps you build successes? I said, well, success can only be built based on the perception that is created in and around you as an individual and how confident you are to embrace that perception and push it forward. So with Africa and Ghana and the music industry, the voice of the people can only be heard the right way if musicians are empowered to push the right type of content. If radio personalities are empowered to celebrate and share the great stories about Africa. If the negativity about Africa is suppressed and the positive aspect of our countries and our continent is shared with the world. If you see somebody driving a Ferrari and you know that the Ferrari is worth $1 million, automatically you assume the person is what? Wealthy.
Exactly.
Okay? But if you see somebody walking on the roadside and the person is wearing tattered clothes with nothing on it, automatically you assume, oh, this person is a starving kid. Is broke. He doesn't have any money.
What motivates you to collaborate with Mr. Kenny and you know, what are you passionate about, your vision, your goals for this kind of dream?
Because I've been knowing him all his life.
Yeah.
And I know what makes him think and tick. Like I say, I've been knowing Kenny over 20-something years. And I got him when he was about 19, 20 years old, sitting on top of the world. And just had everything going for him. Free giving, got the freest heart in the world, but everybody was taking advantage of him. From Microsoft, from Richard Branson, from you name it, because he developed things. Some of y'all probably didn't know that he developed a lot of things right now.
Probably wasn't born by then.
Well, you probably was. But Kenny developed a lot of things that have to do with technology that's still in effect right now. You know, he got patents on certain things, but he was giving it away. You know, for cars and houses and Ferraris.
Man, it was mansions. What do you expect?
Who would have fall?
Who would have fall for that? Jets.
Boats, everything.
Boats.
So I just had to pull them back to reality and tell them, you got to start doing this for money. Yeah. You know, but he had money, still got money, but he could have had more money. He could have been Microsoft or Cisco, you know, those types of companies that made billions. But let Kenny do it. He just give it away. Don't worry about it. I get it back. I'm young. So that's how we became real good friends, because I seen it. And then when he started getting into the record business, music business, I didn't know that he was in that until I took him to Cape Town. I took him first time to South Africa, Cape Town, years ago. And I was the man in South Africa. Okay. Because I lived there. Okay. I took Kenny to one of my clubs, and everything is real mellow, everybody just dancing something, and all of a sudden I see this big crowd running over by the DJ booth, and I'm wondering what's going on. Didn't know he can dance.
I was cutting the rag. The whole club.
The whole club.
After the show, you step, you know.
I'm telling you, the whole club, everybody.
Yeah, so those were the things that I seen him, because he just laid back individual, man. And he don't, he ain't no braggadocious person. He's a smart person, but we've been down a lot of roads together. And I just seen how he operated. He's just a smooth guy. That's all. That's why I took it to him. That's why I love him like a brother. And we've been together ever since. People have tried to come in our circles and try to break us up, but we go separate ways. When I took him to South Africa, I ain't seen him no more for 2 years. Until my people called me, and he on the front page of the magazine and took over the whole country. I said, boy, I can't believe this. Then he called me. Man, I just had to go away for 2 years. And
working on the project.
And working on some major projects. So they respected him in Cape Town. The name still goes on, still in the United States. And when he told me he was coming over here to do this, you know, I came over here with him about 3-4 years ago. And I seen when we just get started. And he always said, man, this is my passion. But we know a lot of people in the United States, a lot of artists and entertainers and stuff. But that's just on the hangout base and go to parties and that sort of thing. It wasn't nothing that feel we were no groupies or nothing, but they just invited us. So that's just how the things that happen. I'm glad for him that he came up here in Ghana with this whole concept. And when he told me we were doing this, you know, we got a water bombing company in the United States called Ghost. And Rock Nation wanted to get involved with us in Africa. So when I told Kenny, I said, man, we got to do some type of collaboration with Ghost, with your water bombing company, with Sleep Media, Rock Nation, to put something together. But they want to come over here for Africa and do a real big thing over here. So this is how I came over here.
You know, this story sounds like a story that deserves 4 hours. Like, we need to find ways and means to break it down from each of you, because there's a lot of people who are watching this right now who will be interested in, you know, how can I become the next this, how can I become the next that, because obviously there are a lot of young people who have ideas, have abilities. Obviously some of them haven't had a chance to stay in America for like 22 years, like Mr. Kenny's situation, and the fact that he's been able to take over a country that you took him to in 2 years.
Well, he took over in Cape Town.
That's a historical story right there.
Someone asks, how did you do it?
Exactly.
You know, to cover a magazine?
It was, Cape Town experience was fun in the sense that when Keith invited me to go to South Africa, initially I didn't want to go. And he said, you will love it. I said, that's too far.
Okay.
I was living the high life, the luxuries, you know, in abundance. And sometimes, when you're from Africa, and you get the gates open for you in the United States, you tend to forget parts of your roots. You become more American than African. And so he brought me back to reality, in the sense that when we met, I'd never even been around any black people.
Wow.
Yes, I pretty much, it's sad to say, but it's the truth. I didn't even know how to deal with black people.
Because he lived in Utah.
I lived in Utah. I was pretty much a Mormon. I probably was the only face of wealth when it came to a black person. And back then, not that many black people were in the position that I was in.
And I never met none of his black friends because he didn't have
I didn't have any.
Oh, wow.
So, so he told me, you got to get back to Africa. I said, for what? He said, we're going to South Africa. We have a meeting with Investing. We went down there, I did a technology presentation. Everybody went crazy. We spent 2 weeks, and I had so much fun. When I got back to the States, I got on the jet. I said, I'm going back to South Africa.
And didn't tell me.
Because Vodacom, one of the biggest telecom companies, they had a group called Vodacom Ventures. They called me and said, hey, for who you are, we need you to come and see, you know, what we're doing. Back then, it was run by a young man called TC Onibichi. So TC and I became good friends, and I went to South Africa and ended up staying there for 2 years without even telling him. And then I was on the cover of about 8 different magazines.
Wow.
And I've basically done a lot in the space of 2 years that he got a call from his boys and he's like, where you at? I'm like, oh man, you told me to go back to Africa. So I'm back to Africa.
And the good thing about it is, you know, by him being from Africa, and I said, you ain't never been to South Africa? He said, no. I said, you are African. You ain't never been to Africa? Well, what's the difference between Ghana and South Africa? And when he went down there, he seen the difference. There's no difference.
But we had a lot of fun in South Africa. I remember I was in Cape Town, nobody had a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
So I brought in the first Lamborghini down there, and I brought in a Ferrari, and I was, every day I was driving around just being me. But
Wait, I'm interested in what the backstories were. What did people think you had going on for you? Because you know, there's this stereotypical thing that we have here, where you see a young person driving certain cars and enjoying life. We tag you.
yes.
What were the stories? What did they say?
I'd already been on TV, on technology. Everybody knows I was a computer whiz kid. Everybody knows that, you know, I've done so much in technology. I have patents in the United States. So I was well known already.
That's cool.
And then they also knew me as an athlete. And so when they saw me in that light, they automatically assumed that's the American superstar, just living it up.
They were still in the Ghanaian away from you.
I actually forgot I was Ghanaian for a while. That's the honest truth. I used to live it up. And you know, we had a lot of fun. We've probably been to every single country in the world.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, we went to about 30
countries.
30 countries. Just
Kenny called me up and said, man, we gotta go.
Globetrotting.
We gotta go.
Globetrotting.
And I met him in Thailand.
in Thailand, yeah.
And from there, we traveled for about 3 years straight.
Just going from country to country.
Lucky I had a South African wife, because she wouldn't, American wife wouldn't go for that. I get on everything outside. Outside. So that's why I went back home to the motherland to find me an African. And we've been together 21 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, like I said earlier, like personally, I love this story to continue. Like, I'm not sure time is gonna be a good friend today.
No.
But I want to bring the story to Ghana. Jurek, talk to me, man. You've been doing production for a while. You worked on a lot of projects, and you're here now. When you look from your perspective, how do you think we are rewriting that story from our angle? Because, you know, we have to tell the African story. We're the best people to tell the story. We can't let anybody else tell it for us. What do you think your roles are in making all this a reality?
Okay, I believe working with Slick Media,
Yes.
I believe we will change the music industry because we've been following the trend, the Western trend,
Yes.
which is deviating us from our culture as blacks.
Yeah.
So I believe working with Slick Media, Ruff Money, we're going to bring back what Africa is really about, what real music, real African music is about, to tell stories, to give us histories on how blacks came and what we stand for. So working with Slick Media is a very good opportunity to tell Ghanaians and really change this industry and this mindset of this Western stuff and bring us back.
I like that. So I'm not going to pretend I haven't heard some of the songs. I've heard Mami 5. I mean, the minute you hear Mami 5, you know what Mami 5 is about. That's something that we use. There's a Kenny tried to explain it, and then there is Bisse. I mean, when you look at titles like this, was it a deliberate thing from your side to, you know, Africanize this, or it just so happened?
Okay, I think it just so happened because we just want to tell the stories about what we do, Africans. You know, Mami 5 is a normal term. Every kid in Ghana, Africa, knows about.
As a kid, give me 5.
Mami 5.
Yes. We just believe bringing that back through music is going to help us really get united. That is the word, like we unite. So that is why we bring up titles like that.
Yeah, that's great though, but I'm concerned about the challenges so far with this African dream, bringing this dream to light. What are the challenges so far? I want people to know that this is not just a one-day story. We have to go through a lot to get this dream to a reality. So what are the challenges so far?
I'd like to take that one.
Okay.
One of the biggest challenges that you see in Africa is our inability to unite and work together as a people. The biggest concern that I personally have always had is that when you try to teach people to dream big in Africa, people are so short-sighted. They look out for the here and now instead of the now into the future. And that becomes very, very difficult for anybody to try to build anything that is progressively good for their country and their continent. I look at the talent of J-Rex. I've seen him do magic. Producer, engineer, extraordinaire. Worked with the best of the best in the industry. Vassal Benford, how many platinum hits? I call him on a daily basis. You know, that's our boy. His boy from way back. We've been together. Biggest producers, Neil. All of these guys have talent. But then I look at J-Rex and some of the things that he does with the limited resources that he has gives me the perspective of what potential can be for individuals like him with the right amount of resources. So you look at the problem with the country and the continent. It's not only just an individualistic thing. It's a general educational problem. An educational problem that will teach our people that everything you develop that has lasting effects takes time.
Yeah. Not about instant gratification.
Not about instant gratification. The opportunities that will basically come and transform into great things on a short-term basis. But even with those, if the foundation, the cornerstone is not built right, they're bound to collapse.
Absolutely.
And we've seen it over and over and over again. Too many times. It's a familiar story. It's a familiar story. So I watch J-Rex in the studio. He goes through everything he does, comes out with creative tunes. He talked about Mommy 5. It's something that we all say, Mommy 5. It's common with everybody. But Mommy 5 also comes with some type of a connotation to how we treat each other. If you're telling someone Mommy 5, that means that you're happy. Yes. There's a happy mode that comes with it.
Yes.
So the RMR vision is to basically take these little things that brings joy in each and every single one of us to help us move away from the mentality of the short-sightedness that we are always fighting to retain. So if you tell me Mommy 5, I tell you Mommy 5, young people go to then you're cool.
It's always on a happy note.
On a happy note.
It's always on a happy note.
On a happy note.
Even if you're sad, I say Mommy 5, you become happy.
You become happy, absolutely. And Bessie, for instance, there's a line that Obiri-Tete, one of our artists, you know, puts out in Bessie. It says, you know, what the bay you come nipa and so some nyami. Oh man, okay. Oh, that is so deep.
Damn. Very deep.
Deep. It's like, what if you obey your kumfi but so some nyami? You're using, you know, the spirit in you that we claim is demonic and evil to destroy your house person, yet you're out there worshiping a white man's God. And if you come up with words like that, it makes people step back and go, I got to make sure I think about my home. You go to America, somebody will innovate something. And when they innovate, nobody will brand that person evil. Everybody will think, oh, wow, he actually came up with a creative way of solving a problem. Do you know how many people were actually put in research labs and used as experiments who were black to create penicillin and all of these drugs that we use today, that we consume from the pharmacies that we buy from? So many of our brothers and sisters ended up paying the ultimate sacrifice for us to get those medications. Did they have a choice to even pay that ultimate sacrifice? No. They were put under 400 years of slavery. Yet, when we sit with each other, we think about the negatives within our midst instead of projecting positive energy for each of us to rise and pull the other up. There was a design of a ladder. Now, two Africans, and they said, hey, you know, there's a wall. Let's try and climb, with 1 million Africans all struggling to climb the wall. The first thing the two Africans did was that they put the ladder flat and tried to pile ladders up to see if they could reach the top of the wall. When they could have just flipped the ladder up and climbed and pulled the other people up. The same way with the plugging the mango scenario. Two black men running to go and plug a mango, and the first person that plugs it will win against two white people. The black men run and run and run and run and run, and when they get there, they start fighting to see who can jump high to plug it. Until the white people, after 2 hours, catch up to them. And when the white man gets there, he says, hey, my brother, why don't you let me stand on your neck, your shoulders, and try to climb and plug the mango. And when I plug it, I'll give it to you. Or the white man plugs the mango, throws it to the other white man, and the white man takes off and runs.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win for them. Yet our people that were supposed to plug the mango are still under the mango
Fighting.
fighting.